It's time for the best coverage of the top stories in sports. The Sports Wrap with Jason Page starts now.
Yes, it does, and great to have you with us on a blurry-eyed Thursday. I feel like I'm half asleep right now doing the show. I really do, and I can't tell you why. Actually, I can tell you why, and I will in a second. We got a lot to do over the next 60 minutes. We got a Thursday night football game in the NFL to talk about. The WNBA finals kick off on Friday, but something else has completely stolen the league's thunder related to the league. We'll talk about that coming up because we haven't been able to get to it the last couple of days. But we've got to start. It's Thursday on the show. And it means this guy is always here. There he is. He's not blurry-eyed. No. David Aardsma is here, former big league reliever and closer. Hey, there's Sammy Arnell's back as well. He was off yesterday. By the way, we're replacing Sam next Wednesday because Sam's going to be off for a couple of Wednesdays. Chuck Todd will co-host the show next Wednesday, which should be some fun. Former Meet the Press host and now with Newsphere. So looking forward to that. He says he's got a lot of hot takes. That's what he said. He sounded like a boomer. He's like, I got a lot of hot takes. I'm like, okay. Whatever works for you, Chuck. Guys,
we just call those opinions now?
I guess, maybe. We live in the hot take world, man. I was talking about that with Damon Bruce from formerly of 95.7 The Game in San Francisco yesterday, that everybody's just in a rush to proclaim this guy's done. This guy's the greatest. This team's the best. That's the world we live in now. Everybody would rather, because if you're wrong, who cares? Nobody cares if you're wrong. There's no. I'm sorry, I'm on a soapbox about
repercussions.
There's no repercussions for being wrong. There's none. You can go on ESPN and say the dumbest bleep imaginable. I almost said the word, and there's no repercussions that come from it. All right, that off my chest. Let's talk about the playoffs, guys. And, I mean, could Major League Baseball, outside of the Dodgers and Reds, guys, which we all knew was going to be probably a whitewashing of sorts, and it was, these playoffs have just been fantastic to start, the first two games of these other three series. And I said it after game one of all the series. I said, I think all three of these series are going 3 games, and that's where we are. So let's talk about it and begin with the Tigers. And by the time people see this, recognize that game 3 will have already ended, but we want to get on the record about it anyway and talk about just how good it's been. The Tigers and Guardians, guys. I think Scooble, and I'm dying. I'm going to post this online before the game. So I think Scooble, if this game is late, and I want to get your thought on this, David. If this game is late, it's a 1-run Tiger lead. You bringing him in the 8th or 9th inning?
If I'm the Detroit Tigers, abso-freaking-lutely. I believe that is the correct answer. And again, this is the Detroit Tigers playoff.
Look at Sam. Look at Sam.
But this is what they do.
Look at Sam.
You just throw everything against the wall, and then you hope Tariq Skubal sticks.
Sam.
I would never do it.
You throw everything against the wall, except probably not your center of your franchise, Haas, ace of the rotation, future of the franchise, arguably the brightest spot in the future of this franchise, on 2 days rest after throwing 7 2/3 and 114 pitches.
Yeah, 114.
You're in dangerous territory, David. You want to
know?
David would know better than anybody, though, if it's dangerous. Is it?
You want to know where they're going to justify it is if his bullpen day is the second day. Then they just say, dude, it's his bullpen day.
Right.
I don't like it. I don't agree with it. I wouldn't do it personally. But this is the Detroit Tigers, and this is literally their only chance to win is Tariq Skubal. So I don't know if that changes everything in their mindset, and it will definitely change the DS and what happens from that standpoint, and how many times they can pitch him. But they've been going at this. This is the second year now where you're just seeing it's Tariq Skubal. It is his. That's how they win baseball games, even though they were a hair away from winning yesterday.
Well, it doesn't help when you've got the manager taking Casey Mize out of the game, so quickly and having this quick hook. I mean, I say it all the time. These teams it's Russian roulette when you start throwing all these bullpen guys out there.
And he was pitching well. He was
Yes.
pitching very well. It wasn't like he was giving it up. Sometimes I look in and think your best chance is that pitcher on the mound.
Yes.
They're doing a great job. And outside of a little play, a little thing here and there, it obviously gave up a home run. But outside of that, he was pitching great. So let the man work.
Yeah.
Let him go out there and establish a game. And you see it with the Dodgers of all teams. They've actually let their starters go out there and work.
Right.
You saw it with the Yankees. They probably pulled. They probably pulled a little early.
Fried.
But,
He left Fried. He took Fried out too early, and he left Rodon for 2 batters too many.
Yes, but you're
Great
seeing
feel for the
sometimes where
game,
somebody
Aaron
seemed to let them
Boone.
go.
Great feel for the game, Aaron Boone. Oh, we'll get to that series in a minute. But I mean, whether they move on or not, who would you rather see move on, the Tigers or the Guardians?
I think the Guardians have earned it. To me, I want to see the Tigers move on. I think the Tigers are the better team for the future of Major League Baseball, but the Guardians have earned this, and they've played for as bad as the Tigers have played. The Guardians have played just as good. Like they flipped it, and they've earned this right to be in this spot, and they're playing like it.
Sam, you look good nodding your head, but feel free to jump in.
You said something really interesting there, David, about the Dodgers and how they kind of just, obviously they've been the ones to let their starters go for as long, but it brought a question to my mind. Do you think it's more because of who the Dodgers were playing, or is it more because of who the Dodgers are as an organization, a team that has arguably more postseason experience in recent memory than any other team in these playoffs?
It's who the Dodgers are playing with the lead the Dodgers have. That's what it is. They're actually in a place where they're not playing a 5-3 ball game, and they have to go out there, Dave Roberts, and make a decision early. They're kicking butt early. They're getting big leads. Then they're going to let their pitchers go. But it's kind of easy when Blake Snell goes and looks almost perfect. And Yamamoto's going out there and pitching very well too. So they've put themselves in a position to not necessarily question their starting pitcher. When Yamamoto doesn't have an earned run on the board, it's easy to keep him in, especially when we got 8 on the board. So there's multiple decisions there that are happening that make it look really good, make it easy to keep him in. But again, scoring those 4 runs in the 6 definitely help. It allows you to keep the starter in. But and Snell pitching like the Hall of Fame or the Cy Young Snell that we know.
Did you want to
He
finish
actually had
that?
control.
Oh, okay.
He was throwing strikes,
Right.
which is different for him. Like he's a strikeout.
Right.
All right.
And that's a different pitcher. That's the Cy Young version of him.
Okay. We've got more on the baseball. Don't worry. There are 3 other series to talk about, or a couple other series to talk about. We'll do that with David Aardsma next. All right, we keep it moving with David Aardsma, former big league closer, hanging out with myself and Sam Yarnell, as he does every Thursday here on the show. We'll move kind of chronologically here. I know Sam brought up the Dodgers, but I want to talk about this Padres Cubs series. And again, another example of bullpens getting work, man. How good? I mean, Mason Miller is a cheat code. I mean, throwing 104.5 on the black. I mean, it's just not fair to be able to throw out the embarrassment of riches that the Padres have there in the bullpen. The Padres are what the Yankees thought they were going to be when they made all those moves at the deadline and weren't. Yankees are like Timu Padres when it comes to the bullpen right now. That's kind of what we've seen here, David. But give me your impressions on the Padres and Padres and Cubs thus far.
Well, yes, those moves the Padres made might not have made as many waves across fandom.
It did for us.
But in baseball, within like the people that know that those were impressive moves, and they gave up a lot, right? And we questioned it. A lot of people questioned what they were giving up to bring in a Mason Miller. And then you see it in action. Then you see him in the big moments with the light, with the cameras on, and everyone in his face in a tough environment too. Going into Wrigley, anytime you go into Wrigley is a little tough environment, just different, right? Historic, and he is just so good.
But I mean, we talk about Miller, but Morahan's been fantastic too.
Everyone, Peralta. I mean, the whole you go up and down that list.
Suarez,
everyone in the back end of the bullpen. they've been great the whole time with this team. Suarez had an incredible year. And so the whole bullpen's been wonderful. But again, when you make that move and you bring in a guy like Mason Miller, and it's so electric, and it's almost like everyone you bring in after him it is not as good because it's so electric and so good. It's just he's not pitching in that closing role, that classic closing role, but he's the best right now. He's the best reliever in baseball.
But here's the thing, Sam, you can jump in too on this, but what are they going to be able to throw in game 3? Because they've used these guys the first 2 games. Are they going to throw them out there 3 days in a row?
I mean, if you've got the best closer in baseball, you probably can. And like that goes to your point, David, about like the Mason Miller closing thing. Part of, and I said this on the day after the deadline when they made all these moves. What the Padres did is like the Avengers movie. They went around and collected all the Infinity Stones from around Major League Baseball, and now they've got the gauntlet of the best bullpen maybe that we've ever seen. You talked about Mason Miller. He struck out 8 of the 9 batters he's faced. Robert Suarez has looked, like Jason said, on back-to-back days like one of the best closers maybe we've seen in the postseason in the last 20 years. It is just incredible how, they can burn these 2 guys, and they could even go back to, I trust them going back to Suarez on a 3rd day in a row when he's only pitched 2 1/3 innings over the last 2 days. It seems like the power that this team has is just one that can't be, reckoned with by any major league team. But it leads me to a question, David, that I saw posted facetiously online, but the more I think about it, the more I think it was a legitimate question, and I think the answer is actually yes. You go to the Carson Kelly at bat against Mason Miller. Everyone's been replaying the pitch. 104.5 miles an hour, low outside corner, 0-1 pitch to make it an 0-2 count. Someone said, I think that we may have just seen Mason Miller throw the best pitch in baseball history. Is it? I'm so serious. Is that the single best pitch that you've ever seen in a Major League Baseball game?
No, not even remotely close. It's all right. It is exactly what we were talking about. Make a stand really quick on something, and no one cares.
Acclamation!
It's a perfect pitch, as hard as you can ever imagine it. At the same time, there have been a billion pitches more important in bigger bats and bigger moments. And Mariano basically his entire career just circle it and say that. 10 miles an hour slower. Those are the differences. Is this is really fun and easy to say in a wild card series in a middle of an at bat. It wasn't the most important pitch. It wasn't to close out a game with bases loaded. It wasn't those pitches.
No, but that's not the question. It's not obviously that'll never come in a wild card game. But just in terms of like pure baseball, 104.5 miles an hour, low outside corner. What pitch is going to be more effective than that?
105 up and in, right?
Okay.
That 105 on that corner up and in is a lot harder to hit than 100. 100 up and in corner is a lot harder to hit than 104 perfect down and away. We've always been told down and away is the perfect pitch. That's the classic baseball. But a good spin rate with fastball up and in is
unhittable.
That pitch is still foulable.
But it'd probably be harder to get that call. It'd be harder to probably get that call,
which might even mean more in some of it. But that's again, also that's me. I'm also a pitcher that I lived up and in. That was, if I had up and in, you weren't going to win. So to me, I view that as my perfect pitch. Down and away, that's a mistake for me. But then you talk to Greg Maddux, like, dude, that's a perfect pitch. You know what? Let's get a little sync on there too. So that's every pitcher has their own style. That's why to me, I'm going, yes, okay, great. That's a great pitch. Up and in is a much harder pitch to get from an umpire standpoint, hit from a hitter standpoint. And I don't. You're asking a painter what's their favorite painting. That's the problem.
No, but your answer is perfect. And I think it's so valuable for the viewers out there because it's so important to remember that of all of these creatures in bullpens from sea to shining sea, every single one has their intricacies. And what is a perfect pitch to a guy in San Diego isn't a perfect pitch to a guy in Boston. I think that your insight is second to none in this instance, David. Thank you.
Well, I appreciate it.
Wow. That was
Right?
glowing praise. I
Now
know.
we're almost something to say to that.
I know. I'm never going to say anything that nice to you. So real quick, in the last minute we have in this segment, Sam, I can't stop laughing right now internally. Thank you. So I got to real quick. Is there any question in our mind the more dangerous of the two teams to make a deep run here if they get through this series is the Padres, right? Because of what we just talked about with the bullpen, right? And don't forget, by the way, Manny Machado, who's only been doing this for 15 years, and the home run he hits.
Never missed a game.
Yeah,
ever.
never misses a game.
No, up and down this lineup, they've got all the weapons. They've been building this team for years to make this playoff run, to crush it. They don't need to win the West to make damage. And that's the thing about this team. I mean, you go up and down this entire lineup. It was built to win deep into the playoffs. The rotation is great. That back of the bullpen, that was the one piece that they needed to build, and they built it. I mean, up and down this lineup, it's a better team. The Cubs are a good team. They were a playoff team. I had them in the playoffs from day one, but this is a better team that needs to make a run. All
right, one more. We haven't talked about the Yankees, and we will do that when we come back. The NFL Week 5 panic meter coming up in 10 minutes. There are so many teams we could choose from. We'll narrow it down to a couple, though. More baseball with this guy, David Aardsma, the former big league closer. Sam as well. All right, that gets us to the Yankees and the Red Sox, which, I mean, you knew it was going to be a banger. And it obviously has been through the first two games. I said this last night. We did a SportsWrap short on it. By the way, if you're not following us, the YouTube channel, SportsWrap with Jason Page YouTube channel, you don't know what you're missing. Great content there with SportsWrap shorts. I said this last night, and I'll say it again. The Red Sox blew their chance to win this series in that seventh inning of Game 2 with runners on first and second and nobody out. After Aaron Boone leaves in Carlos Rodon for a batter or two too many, and I don't know. We go from there because they don't score there. The Yankees do their thing in the eighth with Jazz Chisholm, who we'll talk about here in a second, and this series is 1-1 going to Game 3, guys.
And when's the last time we've ever had two rookies start a playoff game? That's a question I want to know. Like, this is...
I saw a tweet. It's like 1970 something.
This is exciting. It's neat. Who's going to be able to handle that pressure? Obviously, it's two places where you're used to pressure and you're used to those big moments. But it's a little different when you're in Yankee Stadium in the playoffs. Is a different beast, and we've known this for the years that it is a certain type of pitcher that can handle it. And that's the thing I'm going to be watching in this game. It isn't the hitters, it's nothing else. It is how the two starting pitchers handle that pressure and that energy and the crowd. And that's what I'm excited for.
Yeah, we've seen. I haven't seen a lot of early. I've seen a ton of Schlittler. So obviously I'm going to go with what I've seen, and I think obviously it's advantage Yankees. They're at home too. But to me, I feel, and I mean, look, you ask Ceddanne Rafaela to lay down a bunt when he doesn't lay down bunts all year. I'm a proponent of know your roster, know your team, know what your guys can and can't do, and to put Rafaela in a spot where you're asking him to do something he does not typically do, rather than saying just shoot a ground ball to the right side, which is probably an easier ask. I don't know if a lot of people are going to crush Alex Cora for that. And I'm not crushing him, but to a degree, you've got to know your roster in that spot.
These are the things that you should get crushed about and that they don't get crushed enough, because this shows to me preparation. If you at any single point in time when you're running it through your head as a manager and as a game planner, think you might ask him to bunt in a situation, you prepare him during the regular season. You prepare him pregame. You let him know during the regular season, these are moments that you need to be really good at this. And that, to me, shows a bigger sign of a problem in the preparation. And you have to get on the managers about that. There's so many decisions during a game that we attack managers about. that are hairline difference, like great call, just bad execution type of thing. This is a bad call, bad execution, bad decision, because if we would have seen Rafaela been doing this and bunting in situations in games that you're winning, games you're losing, you're not going to come back, and you're seeing these guys do this, then you know what you're gonna get, right? And so to me, the problem is you don't know what you're going to get, and you're just throwing something out there and you're crossing your fingers. Yeah. And as a manager that's supposed to be that good, that's not a good look.
No, laying down a bunt in BP is much different than laying it down against 96 coming in at you. Go ahead, Sam.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, Jason, I think the point that you made is an incredibly valid one in terms of the seventh inning and that game last night. I don't understand how Nate Eaton does not score on that ground ball. And to me, that's when the light bulb went off in my head. The Red Sox are going to lose this game because they're out Yankeesing the Yankees. That's the mistakes that they made last night. And you think about the difference between game one and game two. Game one, the Red Sox were actually playing Red Sox baseball, which is built to beat the Yankees, right? They were taking the extra base on Aaron Judge, who can't seem to play the outfield at the level of a Division I college outfielder right now. They were taking advantage of count leverage and knowing what pitches were coming, despite, Yankees players trying to sign steal while Aroldis Chapman was pitching, which is all fair game, by the way, and I think the contingent of the internet complaining about it needs to go kick rocks and touch grass. Regardless, the Red Sox in game two played Yankees baseball to try and beat the Yankees, and that, quite frankly, is never going to work.
Not going to work. Not going to work. And they still were, right there and almost able to pull this off. But you can't play Yankee baseball when you have a lineup that's built like those Giants teams where you're making runs for it, right? Where it's aggressive base path baseball, really good pitching, and you just beat them on, in ways that you can't win. Better defense. Again, you said it perfect. Take the extra base, run on the throw and push it. And even if you get thrown out, force them to be a little stressed out every single time a ball gets them put in play. Those things add up. And that's when I love somebody early in a game trying to get that extra base. You're setting a tone to the other team. You can't even take one ball off on us, or we will have that back. And that's, you can't change your ball game a little bit like that, right? You don't try to play the long ball. Don't try to play the bad defense and overcome it with a 3-run home run. And I felt like they tried to do that.
Ben Rice better be in the lineup today. I don't care if there's a lefty starting this game or not. If Ben Rice isn't out there today, they should charge the gates at Yankee Stadium and drag Aaron Boone by his you-know-what out of the stadium. I'm just saying.
And it won't even be his decision. That's the thing. It's not even Aaron Boone's decision.
Sad.
I think that's your seventh call to charge the gates at Yankee Stadium.
I said Citi Field. I said Citi Field the other day.
Oh, okay. All right.
And by the way, if you do get rid of Aaron Boone, there's a pretty good manager who's won some World Series sitting out there who apparently the Giants don't want, and Bruce Bochy. We got a minute left, by the way.
You're seeing that as Bruce Bochy. I don't think that works in Yankee Stadium.
Doesn't work with that man. It doesn't work with as long as Brian Cashman's there.
No, it's not going to work in this environment and that stress every single day after a game. That the meetings, the conversations with the media, that's not the type of guy. You need somebody who's young, energy, fiery, has a little oomph behind them. And Aaron Boone was that when they hired him, and now we see that just drown out.
Bruce Bochy to the Braves?
That would be that's a better spot.
I'm shocked the Giants said they didn't want him. I thought for sure he was going back to San Francisco.
He's an advisor at this point. I don't know if he has that same fire that he has had in the past.
I think he still wants to manage, but we're out of time, so we can't debate it anymore. Maybe we'll talk about it after the cameras go dark. We're coming back. Panic Meter next. Welcome back to the show. Got the baseball out of the way. Push that to the side for the moment. Let's talk some NFL. Week 5 NFL Panic Meter. Sam Yarnell, we throw a couple of teams under the spotlight in this Week 5 from the AFC. Representing the AFC North, Sam Yarnell, I present to you the Baltimore Ravens on a scale of 1 to 5. Where are we on the panic meter for Lamar Jackson, John Harbaugh, and the Baltimore Ravens?
On a 1 to 5, I'm going to go 4, 3, somewhere between 3 and 4, probably 4. I think it's like if I got down to the decimal fractions, maybe like a 3.67, 3, again, that is just for those of you, 3.67. Yeah, I don't know, man. The Ravens are so confusing. They're still favored to win the division, even with Cooper Rush as their starter for the next umpty squat weeks. I don't know what to make of this team. The defense is horrible. The offense is good, but they're not doing what they're good at. It's frustrating to watch this Baltimore Ravens team. Certainly, there's still a ton of potential. We know they've got a lot of talent. That's never not going to be the case with this roster. But they're not putting it together right now. So that's why I fall where I do, right around a 4, Jason.
Sam, their win total on FanDuel, the most popular number, over 9.5 is minus 140. I mean, it's astonishing. With what we've seen through the first 4 weeks
over
and
10 and
how
a half?
bad this defense is. Over 10.5 is only plus 145.
Interesting.
It's just nuts. It's nuts to me. Over 8.5 wins minus 300. Under 8.5 is plus 250. So
they're going to win 10 games.
There's still a lot of confidence in the street, man. Still a lot of confidence in the street about this Ravens team, and I don't know where it's coming from when you watch this defense get lit up like a Christmas tree. I'll go 5. I think it's all out panic right now. You've got people talking about John Harbaugh's future, the regression in this team, and again, I still keep hearkening back to how much different this thing might be if they win that week 1 game in Buffalo. Like how much that just set things in motion. The tone that set for this team and everything that's happened since then. The doubt. And look, there is no more thing powerful for athletes and groups as a whole as doubt. And for that to happen in week 1 the way that it did, a collapse of epic proportions. For that to have happened, I wonder if that one game could have set so much of this in motion. It's just a thought from me. So you got him at about a 3.5. I got him at a 5.
Yeah, closer to a 4. I'll go with the 4 if you force me to pick a round number. But I think you make a good point. That I think the win total's out there based on a schedule that is a little bit lax, that does include the Dolphins and the Jets on it. Along with that, AFC North that isn't, the hardest division in football, considering their starting quarterbacks as we record this are 41-year-old Aaron Rodgers, Cooper Rush, Jake Browning, and Carson Wentz in the year 2025. Those are the 4 quarterbacks in that division right now.
Yep.
So I could see them getting to a lot of wins because they're not going to play a ton of good teams from here on out.
All right. Well, how about the New York Jets? Winless. Now, I mean, the Jets normally being winless, you just go shrug of the shoulders and water's wet and the Lindbergh baby was kidnapped. I mean, all things that we all know. But this Jets team being 0-4, with all the hope that came into the season with Justin Fields, and a defense that was good enough to certainly win them at least a game or two, you would think. The Jets at 0-4, Sam Yarnell, on a scale of 1 to 5. Where are we on the panic meter?
I'm low on the Jets panic meter. I'm actually at like a 2. I'm going to go with a 2 for the Jets right now. Maybe if we're doing decimal points, we'll go 2.35, somewhere in that region. But it's low. I understand that, this Aaron Glenn era of New York Jet football is not necessarily off to its best start. And there are pretty clear and obvious signs that you do still have an owner that is meddling in the day-to-day football operations of this franchise, which is never a good thing. All of that is true. However, go look at the games they've lost. Outside of that Bills loss, Every single one of their losses is a one-possession loss. This is a team that is finding a way to stay in games. It's only a matter of time until they get the talent level to get them to win those games that they're staying in. So, I know the people are going to look back at that Bucks game and say, oh, you got a garbage time late touchdown. Listen, that game was still close. I don't care what you said. The Jets had the ball with a chance to win. So, again, the panic meter is up, but it's not all the way up. I'm going with a 2. I think there's a lot of room to improve with this franchise, but there are good building blocks to kind of lay a base on.
I'll go 3. I won't go full bore, but I'll go 3. And the reason I'll say 3 is there are still some things from the offensive standpoint that concern me. They can't get the ball downfield. It feels like Garrett Wilson's been kind of wasted so far this year in terms of what he's been able to give to this team. And again, I worry about just the negative tone that gets set with all this losing and how difficult it is to break free of that. Now, the Lions did it. Go look at the Lions year 1. You look at the Lions year 1 of this current regime. What were they, like 1-10 or 2-10? Like, it was awful. And they were able to turn it around. But they also have players. And I wonder if the Jets have enough players to turn it around. We'll see. WNBA Finals, the cloud of controversy next. We welcome you back. Odds and Ends wraps it up in 10 minutes with some thoughts on the Thursday night football extravaganza on Prime Video. A couple other stories to get to that we'll throw in for good measure. I'm a couple days late to this party as far as the show is concerned. Again, we had a SportsWrap short on it yesterday. If you're not following us on YouTube, the SportsWrap with Jason Page YouTube channel, SportsWrap shorts are huge right now. You've got to go and check them out. Go and subscribe to the YouTube channel. We talked about this yesterday on the YouTube channel with SportsWrap Shorts, and that is the WNBA Finals getting underway. You've got the Mercury and Aces, and by the way, if you are somebody that lives where I live, it's a series where you could literally go watch every game if you wanted to in this best of 7, because Phoenix and Vegas, not that far from each other. So you'd get the opportunity to watch all of it. It's a great travel series for the media involved, that's for sure. But while we should be talking about this remarkable Aces run back to a WNBA final when they were terrible for, the first 20 games of the season and sort of meandered through it, or 25 or 26 games of the season, and this Mercury team, which remarkably finds itself in the WNBA finals. Instead, what we're talking about is Napheesa Collier, because she went scorched earth. She went and pressed the nuclear button, Sam, on Kathy Englebert and the powers that be at the WNBA, criticizing everything from the officiating to the way the league was run. And I'll say what I said yesterday in the short, and it's this. If half of what she is claiming to be true is true about things that Kathy Englebert has said to her, if half of that is true, there is no way Kathy Englebert could survive this, Sam.
Yeah, 100%. I think that is a completely valid and fair reaction to have to, if, even less than half, dude, if 1/3 of what she said is true, Kathy Englebert needs to be out of a job tomorrow. But I think we need to take a moment to recognize, as, is wont to happen with people in positions of power, especially in the society in which we live today. This cat, again, based on Napheesa Collier's reporting, this Kathy Englebert statement is just off the walls, bat crap crazy. How can you be any sort of a business person, because when you're a commissioner, you are a business person, objectively, that is the job, and not understand the market reaction to simple influx of a couple of players? How can you mistake that for something that you yourself through? I'm confused, because clearly it's not marketing as you're claiming. I don't really know what the argument is there. I just don't understand how Kathy Englebert, as an American business person, can get from point A to point B in her argument. It's nonsensical. Obviously, the proof is also in the pudding, right? You know, Scott Van Pelt put this very eloquently last night, but I think it's something that translates across all media, and even Jason and I can relate to it. Over the past, as long as we've been doing this show, the past 2.5 years, the explosion of the WNBA can be seen through media ratings, not even through WNBA games, but through people talking about the WNBA. When we would get on here and I would do a segment about how Angel Reese and the Me-Bounds are absolutely killing the sport, it would do numbers because Angel Reese is bringing that popularity to the WNBA, because Caitlin Clark and Paige Beckers and all these other amazing young talents in the WNBA are bringing all this talent. I don't understand how an executive could get those lines so crossed in their head.
All right, a couple things I want to hit. And I think a lot of what you said is on point, but a couple things I want to hit this from. One, the timing. Napheesa Collier, I've seen a lot of people question whether she shouldn't have done this right before the WNBA's biggest stage of the season, which is the finals. I can argue the converse of that is, no, this is when there's the most eyeballs on the league. If she says this 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks from now, nobody's paying attention. We're thrust in the middle of, dead in the middle of NFL season. You've got the baseball postseason. Hockey started where the NBA is here. I don't have a problem with her saying it now because it has the max impact. And that was the point, was max impact. And she did that. The other thing I ask in this is this. Where's Caitlin Clark? Where's Caitlin Clark? You are the biggest star of this league. You are the cash cow of this league. And that would be the death nail to me for Kathy Englebert. Napheesa Collier saying it is one thing. If your cash cow were to step up and make a statement on this, to me, WNBA or not, the NBA, which owns 60% of this league, would come in at that point and say, all right, enough's enough. Because even they would recognize the value of Caitlin Clark, and if she speaks out, what that means. So I'm kind of surprised that Caitlin Clark is staying quiet. And I wonder how much of this Napheesa Collier statement, when you read between the lines, is about how players around the league feel that Caitlin Clark has been pushed versus the way other players in the league have been pushed. I think that's part of this as well, if you read between the lines of what Collier said. And obviously the officiating is an issue. I've talked about it ad nauseum on this show. The fact that they want to be 90s NBA basketball in the WNBA and the problems that leads to injuries and whatnot. I think there's a lot here. All it spells to me is, I don't know if Englebert is still the commissioner. And this is where I think the rubber meets the road and why I think she's out. If she is still the commissioner, there will not be a season next year. No way.
Right. And I think that is an important thing to keep in mind, like you said, to the timing point of all this and this large contingent of people that are like, oh, well, she's just crying because she lost on her way out. No. Here's the thing. The collective bargaining agreement expires in 28 days. It's not like they have time to waste on all this stuff.
Nope. You're right, Sam. It's going to be fun to watch. The WNBA Finals will be fun to watch, too. But a lot of drama coming for the WNBA.
Give me the Aces!
Sam says take the Aces. I'll go with the Aces, too. I live in Vegas. We're coming back. All right, Odds and Ends wraps it up in just a moment. But before we get to that, a couple of reminders. Friday show, always good. Tino Patino should be here to break down NASCAR. As the playoffs continue, they get ready to cut down to 8 drivers. We got a NASCAR race here in Vegas in 10 days? I'll be there. I'm going to do my second NASCAR race. Looking forward to that. So we've got that to talk about tomorrow on the show. Robert Littal, the founder of Black Sports Online, will be here as well. We'll get some thoughts from him. See what he has to say about a whole host of issues around the sports world this week. A couple of reminders before we go. If you have not done so yet, make sure to check out the SportsWrap with Jason Page podcast. It's available on all your favorite podcasting platforms. You can listen to this show. It works just as well. Monday through Friday, all your favorite podcasting platforms. Go and subscribe today. We'd appreciate it. In addition to that, you can watch this show on over 270 affiliates across the United States and Canada. Don't forget our friends in Canada. And in addition to that, we have something called the SportsWrap with Jason Page YouTube channel. Folks, if you're not catching the show on YouTube, you can watch it there. But in addition to that, we have SportsWrap Shorts, which is the hottest thing we have going right now. It's fantastic content, curated every day, top stories in sports. As they break, head over to the SportsWrap with Jason Page YouTube channel, and you can see SportsWrap Shorts. All right, without any further delay, on this Thursday edition of the program, time for some odds and ends. Odds and ends, Sam Yarnell. We've got ourselves a Thursday night football game to talk about. But first, some news from the NCAA in terms of college basketball. What has been rumored to happen, it looks like is much closer to happening. We've got an expansion of the field of 68. What are they going to expand it to, 76 now?
Yes. So we get reports on Thursday morning that they're inching closer to this agreement for 76-team tournament. It'll be a 12-game opening round to get us down to the 64 teams for the actual tournament, I guess. And they're going to start it in 2026, 2027. So next year. Great.
What's the longest run? What's the deepest run any of the play-in teams have made? Do we know?
Final Four, right? Wasn't George Mason a play-in team? I think George Mason was a play-in team on that Cinderella run. Maybe.
Wasn't like UMBC or something? Weren't they?
Butler may have been one of those years to play in for the 11.
Yeah, I know. This is something we should have looked at before we actually did the segment, but that would actually require planning a show, which we don't always do that well. Maybe you could find it. But look, it's obvious why they're doing this. Money. I tell you who else loves it. The sports betting books. The sports books love it because it just gives them more money to rake in. And look, as much time of work that gets wasted every year in March for March Madness, as much productivity as gets wasted, you've got, a couple more games worth of productivity that'll be wasted. Did you find it?
So there's a lot of historic parts about First Four. I had my Virginia schools mixed up. It was that VCU team that went on the historic run. They were a First Four team. Okay. The most recent First Four darling was actually the Fairleigh Dickinson team that beat Purdue a couple of years ago. They were a First Four darling. They made it all the way to the Sweet 16, I believe, maybe the Elite Eight. But yeah, so the First Four there's always, every 5 years, there's someone, 10 years, really, every 10 years, there's someone fun that comes out of the First Four. You're going to call me a purist. You may call me a traditionalist if you're watching this at home, but why you got to mess with a good thing? We got a great thing going in the NCAA tournament. Not to say that too much of a good thing isn't always a good thing, but it's not. And I'm so content with the way the tournament starts, having those couple of weekdays for the first round to be able to watch wall-to-wall basketball. Even the first and second round is all wall-to-wall basketball every day. It feels like the NCAA is doing too much here, Jason. It feels like they're selling their soul for the American dollar. And I get it, but I guess I'll just be able to tell my kids about the day when there was a 64-team tournament.
And it's only a matter of time, you think, before the women do the same thing. VCU, an 11 seed, went to the Final Four. UCLA in 2021, an 11 seed, made it to the Final Four as well. So there you go. That's the two. That's the benchmark that we're looking for. All right. Thursday night football on Prime. A huge NFC West showdown. 49ers plus 7.5. The Flying Mac Jones go into Englewood to take on the Los Angeles Rams. The total is 44.5. Sam Yarnell, what do you got?
Feels like we're going to get points in this game. No? You're telling me that Mac Jones, Kyle Shanahan offense and then the explosiveness of that LA offense? I don't know, man. It feels like over 44.5, but when it does, that usually means an under. So I must be missing something here.
The hook is huge here. The hook is huge to me because I could see it being a 7-point game. I could see 27. It's got 27-20 written all over it. That's what I got for you.
That's an over. I'll take
it. That's what I'll go 27-20 Rams because as everybody knows, I'm a huge believer in the Rams as a Super Bowl contender this year. Nice bounce back win for them last week, but I also think the Niners, coming off the loss against the Jags, will certainly come out with their hair on fire. So I'll go Rams. I'll take the Niners plus the 7.5, and I'll take the over at 44.5. It's going to do it for us. We're out of time. We got to go. Don't worry, though. We'll be back on Friday for an all-new edition of Sports Wrap. Tino Patino will be here, so will Robert Littall. Sam, we'll see you later.